This is VOCM Open Line. Call now to get in the queue. 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now. Here's your host, Brian Callahan.
And good Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to Open Line. I am your host, Brian Callahan, along with Beth Fagan this morning, sitting in for David Williams, who's going to take or make a long weekend out of it, and good for him. That man certainly deserves it. So you'll be speaking with Beth first when you call the show to get in the queue and on the air. And the numbers to do that, of course, in the St. John's metro area, 1-709-273-5211, or long distance 1-888-590-VOCM. That's 8626. And by email, of course, taking your emails, openline@vocm.com. And yes, it is the Friday before the long 2-4 weekend, and for most, Monday is a holiday, of course, including some of our programming here, including this show, which we will be back on Tuesday, of course, which will be a big news day in this province for sure, the 19th, and we'll get to all of that in due course. Interestingly, as we head into the long weekend, the price of fuels, all gas is down today, down after spikes throughout the week, so bucking the conspiracy theories of increases just to capitalize on all the driving over the long weekend. So when all is said and done, though, still an overall about 10-cent increase this week when you look at the ups and the downs and the volatility and the unpredictability of what is going on around our world. And that's keeping us right around the $2 mark right now, becoming a constant, really. We hope it'll go back down some point, all watching the global affairs. And again, we can get into all of that if you want to. Beautiful day yesterday, but pretty mozzy and gray around these parts today, and much the same for tomorrow, unfortunately, but Sunday should be the best one of the weekend. So hopefully you can get out and about, fill the lungs with some fresh air and bit of a break before the heavy stuff next week. And one more reminder for today, this is the deadline to get those studded tires off. And yes, we also know, and I've been getting lots of emails and different requests and mentions and questions today about whether or not the federal fisheries minister will live up to the commitment she made to make an announcement on the food fishery by the mid-month. This is mid-month, right on the dot, the 15th. So, look, we'll be keeping a very close eye on all of that, on all our information sources and streams, whether it's email and all the socials and all that sort of thing. The minute we hear anything, we'll get it on the air here and on the web and everywhere else. Toot sweet. Okay, can't let the morning go without some pretty acknowledging all the pretty Montreal hockey fans out there this morning. And not just because the Habs are on the brink now of moving on to the conference finals. Holy cow. But, of course, the Montreal Victoire of the PWHL, the Professional Women's Hockey League. They won their first game in the best-of-5 finals against Ottawa last night, in overtime, mind you, after scoring with just 2.1 seconds left to send it in overtime. That was pretty wild. It was wild switching back to both. I know a lot of people, because that game, the women's game, was canceled the night before or postponed due to fears over an illness, which seems to have gone nowhere, so that's good. So I had to move the game to last night, which, of course, butted heads with the Habs Sabres game, but it was great switching back and forth. So all the Montreal fans are pretty happy on both sides of the ledger this morning. Some dramatics there, not so much in Buffalo, where after a pretty hectic first period, I think, safe to say, it was like 4 goals back-to-back within about 4 or 5 minutes. They settled down, and Habs took over in the second and rode the once again solid, dare I say, spectacular goaltending of Jakub Dobiš. Not to mention the first playoff goal. What a beauty by Demidov. And it was really touch and go in the first. At one point, I think after the third goal, I think the cameras caught Martin St. Louis, coach of the Habs, looking to his assistant coach. What do we do? Do we pull him or don't we? And they didn't, and it was a great call, because that would have killed his confidence and would have upset the apple cart. I think all 3 goals that first period were some sort of bizarre redirection. And just back to the PWHL for a moment, 2 new franchises announced yesterday as well, Hamilton and Vegas. So that's great news for the quick expansion of that league. And shout out to all my Leafs friends out there, wondering if they're enjoying the run by one Mitch Marner right now. Highlight reel goal last night and an assist as the Vegas Knights dispatched the Ducks in 6 games. And Vegas moves on to the Western Conference Finals against the Avs. Meanwhile, Carolina continues to gather dust and rust, I would suggest, waiting patiently for the winner of the Habs And the Sabres, Game 6, Saturday hockey night in Canada, Saturday night. It's going to be great. Hunkering down for that one. And, of course, the World Hockey Championships get underway later on this morning for Canada in Switzerland. And as mentioned before, Canada's first game, big test right out of the gate against Sweden. That game is set for about 11:50 Island time, just as we're cluing up here on the program. So, Sidney Crosby and Dawson Mercer et al., John Tavares, Scheifele, all great stacked team. So, usually, it's made up of a lot of players from international leagues or the European players, or players playing in Europe, I should say. But no, they got a lot of acceptance to invitations this year, and for good reason. And one last note on sports, just quickly, the PGA Championship. Next major of the tour is in round 2 today with Canadians. Corey Connors just a stroke back, and Nick Taylor just one stroke back of him. So that'll be great to watch over the weekend. All right. First of all, a couple of things. I want to advise that we do have messages in. I did send some messages last night and received a response from the town of Deer Lake regarding the release of water today by the Kruger-owned Deer Lake Power. And that's caused some consternation, some concern around the town and anyone basically on the shoreline there, because the water levels are already high, and now this release will bring them up a little higher, and that's a combination of not just the rain or the runoff this season, but the snow runoff. I mean, there was a big winter for Marble Mountain, and great that it was, great for business, but the runoff now on top of the water levels last year, it's feast or famine. Last year they were incredibly low, record lows. And now they're worried about what might happen with the release of water today. And that's necessary because it's buttoned up against the dam. There were 3 gates, I think. They're just going to open 2 now. I'd love to have someone from the town or even Deer Lake Power or Kruger to just explain that, because some might say, well, why not just release 1 gate for now and let's see how she goes before we go to, just to see what the downriver effects and upriver effects could be. Anyway, just wanted to put that out there. We are watching it, and I welcome call. I did get a message back from the town of Deer Lake saying they would try to make someone available this morning. So I welcome that, of course. And not only that, I don't just welcome that, I welcome too the open line studio this morning, the one and only, junior hockey guy and a bar owner, David Brazel. Welcome to the program.
Oh, good to be here. Thanks for having me again. Been a while.
Yeah,
good to be back.
We're trying to shake it up on Fridays and have a little bit some in-studio guests. And I'm really glad that you made time for the program today. You got a little bit going on in your life. Shall we live in I guess we live in interesting times, Dave, is what I was going to say. You have a new position. I have a new position. It's all beginnings of good things. Here's the new beginnings.
Fresh beginning for everybody.
So why don't you fill us in? So you got a big appointment announced this week with Global Affairs Canada. Global Public Affairs. And I'm welcoming you as a senior advisor. So let me see. How can I best phrase this question? I guess the question you managed to navigate your way through. I meant to ask you first this morning. Are you still up in Airport? You're living in Airport Heights, right, sir?
Yes, I am, yeah.
I just want to know how your travel was through that intersection at Portugal Cove and Majors Pass this morning.
At times it's a challenge, but I got to give credit to the city and to the construction company. They're very cognizant of rush hours and trying to maximize people being able to get in and out. Of course, late in the evening, rush hour, it's going to be an issue because there's thousands of cars travel there, but people need to be patient. This has been 3 years getting done. By the end of this year, we'll have a super access with a roundabout, and the access from Majors Path and what's been done in Airport Heights will make the whole infrastructure that much better for the city and all the travelers.
Yep, hats off to Jill Bruce and the council. They've had great communication on this, so that's fantastic. Okay, so you're the new senior advisor with Global Affairs, Global Public Affairs. So for our listeners, let's just say right off the top, what is Global Public Affairs and what will you be doing?
Well, Global Public Affairs has 14 offices across Canada. It has affiliates all over around the world. Really, what it does is advise business and not-for-profits around strategic planning, around best areas to do business, in being ready to be able to actually address particular issues that they may have. In my case here, being a Newfoundlander and Labradorian and working with our team in Atlantic Canada, we're looking at the clients that we represent doing business in Newfoundland and Labrador from an investment point of view, from a service point of view, from a research point of view as part of that process. So my job would be to give them strategic advice, do some strategic planning with them to help them navigate through the different integral parts of what happens here, to deal with people like yourselves, the media and this type of thing, getting their message out to the right people around what's happening. What I liked about Global, when they came and we had discussions, because, I'll be honest, I wasn't looking for a full-time job. I, was quite content, almost in my mid-60s, being retired somewhat. We have, me and my partners have a nice little pub and restaurant. We do a lot of charity work within the communities as part of this process. But it was intriguing because not only do they represent the profit sector, the business sector, they do a lot of work with the not-for-profit, a lot of foundations. And fortunate enough, just this week alone, 2 major, and I mean major foundations, are very interested in doing things in Newfoundland, Labrador. One around mental health, particularly, and another one around food security. So they're going to invest millions of dollars to try to benefit the people of Newfoundland, Labrador. So if I can help guide that, help give strategic planning, help give advice that makes that work, put them in contact with the right people within government, within the not-for-profit sector, within the private sector, to benefit the people of Newfoundland, Labrador, I don't see it as a bad gig. I get some remuneration, plus I get to do something that's good.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it, this is a great nonpartisan organization. Really, you'll be sitting right next to Seamus O'Regan, for example, who's also an advisor with the organization.
Well, I like the nonpartisan because Seamus and myself obviously go back 4 decades, but particularly like part of our Atlantic team that we negotiate with is the former NDP Premier of Nova Scotia. There's about 8 or 9 former, federal cabinet ministers from various parties and former MPs and MLAs and MHAs as part of that right across this great country of ours. So it's not about partisan. It's about finding the right direction to do what needs to be done for, the client group we're going to work with to ensure they're profitable. But more importantly, the services they provide are beneficial to the people that they're going to service, whether it be a not-for-profit, a healthcare, an industry, offshore, developing our resources. My vested interest here is making sure whatever gets done in Newfoundland, Labrador, that the beneficiaries are the people here and the companies here and the agencies and organizations that can benefit from that. So, it's a good thing to do in my twilight years, and it's a new beginning, like you said, as is yourself here. Get the word out there and hopefully steer people in the right direction.
What a time to be in the midst of this, because as you said, the benefits for the province and all the rest, and the communication on it, and scouring all the issues that come with the heady times and the news times we're in right now. So, I mean, you're obviously 5-time member of the House of Assembly, former provincial party leader for the Progressive Conservatives here in the province. I'm wondering how much involvement do you still have with the party? I mean, it never leaves you, but right now, how in tune are you with the actual machinations of what's going on?
Well, I'm a party faithful, and I'm a taxpayer like everybody else, and I'm a business person, but I'm also a friend of most of the people who are in there, most cabinet ministers I serve with. The leader, I chaired one of his leadership campaigns at one point. I couldn't be involved in the last one because I was the leader at the time. But, again, if somebody asks me for advice, I'll give them, what my advice is. I was fortunate enough to be part of a great team to start to forge some of the things that are happening here. We did a lot of work in the last number of years, and we collaborated with the federal Liberals at the time and the provincial ones, but we had a big stake in Beta North to get that to even be still on the table for Tony Wakeham and his administration to be able to move it to the next level and get it completed, that it's a benefit to the people here and the workers and trades NL, and everybody's going to benefit from that. That speaks volumes of what's happening there. The MOU, what I like about this administration, they lived up to what the promises they made during the election campaign, and one of that was that the MOU would be reviewed. I mean, people get confused. The MOU was never a deal with Hydro-Quebec to develop our hydroelectric power to the next level in Labrador. What it was a discussion to move it to the next level, to have an open discussion. Tony is still, from my understanding, very willing to have those discussions. I mean, he has every intention, always has, about looking at the benefits of Gull Island and developing that. But it has to be a benefit based on a contract and an agreement that the beneficiaries have to be the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. We own the assets. We always have. We can't relive what happened in the past. But, I would think, he's always spoken that we're open for business as long as Newfoundlanders and Labradorians benefit from it. And that's part and parcel where he is.
I mean, that's a pretty standard baseline argument. I mean, no one argues with that. No party has ever disagreed with that baseline. But you just, as you mentioned, you still have very close ties with the cabinet ministers, the people you know, friends and that sort of thing, and with the party. We know the government has had that expert panel review in its hands now for 2 weeks. I would be shocked if you haven't heard some rumblings. I mean, I'd also be shocked if they haven't made up their minds on where they want to go with that. The fly in the ointment, in a good way right now, seems to be the Prime Minister's announcements this week, acknowledging, again, that discussions are ongoing with both provinces. What do you think is going to happen on Tuesday? Do you think they'll accept the MOU, reject it, or will there be some kind of hybrid arrangement involving the federal government, whether it's credits, whether it's somehow to bridge, because there seems to be an effort by the feds to bridge the sides here?
Yeah. I can't speculate on what may be the decision
No, I don't want you to
Tuesday.
speculate. I want you to tell me what's going to happen.
As part of it. But, the positives here are that it's not being rushed, but at the same time, there's no doubt there's been discussions going on from day one. I would have thought, and I would think, the premier's had conversations with the new premier in Quebec and the former premier there. There's no doubt there's federal, provincial committees and task force that are having conversations about what's happening. The Prime Minister's announcement here, from my perspective, says, you know what? We could be in a good position here to negotiate the next level of a partnership that includes the federal government. I mean, we have multiple partnerships with the federal government over noted things that we have in this province, from our fishery to the offshore to a number of the other things that we have from things that are beneficial to the people of this province. So I would think this administration will sit down, have a look at it. I mean, they have expert panel who will give them advice. Somewhere along the way,
has already given the advice.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
again, I go back to the original question. They've had it for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Is there any doubt in your mind that there's any doubt in theirs?
I suspect right now they've formulated what they're going to present to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, which will be the full inclusive thing, and outline where they are and what they think. If they think the MOU is the next good starting point to get to a negotiated deal, they'll move to that level. If they think there's concerns about what needs to be done and things that may need to be tweaked, or if there are gaping holes that are detrimental to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, I would hope and I would know that the Premier and his administration will stand up and say, no, that's not good enough for Newfoundland and Labrador. We're not going to repeat the mistakes of the past. This is going to be something that works for people here. So, I'm confident things will move to the next level. What that level is, I suspect the Premier and the Minister will note that on Tuesday. I'm looking very much forward to hearing what's there and seeing where it takes us to the next level. I'm confident, one day there will be a deal. We will be developing our hydroelectric power. How that transpires, who are the partners in that game, will be very important to the history of Newfoundland and Labrador and to our economic viability.
And but is time not of the essence right now? And I know nothing needs to be rushed, but if we bandy back and forth whether or not it's good enough, I mean, it's a fine line between who makes that judgment of whether or not it's good enough. The tangliness, the complexities of the final agreements, as you mentioned, this is just the MOU. At what point, who decides, and when do we decide? When is it too late?
Yeah, but here's the issue, and this is why I liked how Tony and the Premier handled this. Based on the principle, the previous announcement that was made by the previous administration told us very little. It gave us a dollar figure. It told us that we had to have a timeline as part of that process. To know if it was a good deal, it could be the best deal ever put in play. It could be the worst one. It could be a good deal, but there's some negotiated gaps that need to be addressed as part of that. The Premier's administration have taken this and have outlined that we're going to put it to people who we feel are confident to be able to really analyze it and come back with a set of recommendations or their views on what happens. And then it's up to government then to take it to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, which they're committed to. Tuesday we'll know that. I would think whatever comes out of that then will start the next phase of moving a discussion on developing our hydroelectric power in Labrador so that the people of this province benefit from it, but also the industries in Labrador and the industries on the island here flourish and get the power that they're going to need to be able to develop. We know, and I just know in my new position, there are a multitude of companies out there ready to come in and invest in Newfoundland and Labrador, but one of the stumbling blocks right now is having access to hydroelectric power. Once they know that's happening, I would think you'll see an onslaught of new offices opening, new people being hired here, new developments being put in play, and new negotiated deals with government.
Yeah, I mean, look, and you said it. So that means they're waiting for it. I've had lots of people on after the MINEX conference in Labrador. That third line has to go there. If they want to look at any of the expansion of the mines up there, IOC has got to rethink what they're doing as well and readjust, recalculate. But again, it's the immediate, the Liberals point to the immediate cash windfall. Hundreds of millions of dollars are just sitting there once you put that ink to paper, which can really get the province out of an immediate, real, serious cost of living crunch. Yeah. Not alone, by the way, might I add, than other provinces as well.
No, exactly. But the thing here that I like again about this administration is they've lived up to everything they said. And one of the big things that they said in the Blue Book, and ever since they've gotten elected, they're going to find ways to stimulate the economy. So with that being said, my understanding would be when this MOU comes down, they're going to outline exactly how they're going to move industry forward in Newfoundland and Labrador, how they're going to move the assets that the people of this province own in the best interest of the people here, and how they're going to stimulate the economy. They've already done their part to cut taxes for people, to make it affordable. I'm convinced. They have a plan here, and I'm convinced Tuesday there'll be another part of that plan that'll be put in place to develop our hydroelectric power and move it to the next level.
David Brazel, good Bell Island man, rekindling friendships here at Russell Bowers, also a good Bell Island man this morning. Thanks for coming in this morning on this Friday. It's going to be interesting times next week. I hope we can tap you for, some reaction and some post-announcement opinions next week as well.
Anytime. Thanks again.
Fantastic.
Take care.
That's David Brazel. Thanks for coming in this morning on this Friday. We may do that a little bit more often. Here are some studio guests on our Friday. Shake it up a little bit on a Friday. Unfortunately, Beth, I apologize. We had to go over break, but I wasn't giving Dave any short shrift for coming in this morning. Let's take our first break of the morning. We got 3 or 4 callers in the queue. That's great stuff. Connie wants to talk about the food fishery. John is on long-term care, and Ed, healthcare as well. We'll be right back.
This is VOCM Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
Okay, let's get her going on line number 1. And Connie, you're on the air as soon as Beth. I think you might have to click that one. We're having some gremlins, of course we would on a Friday. Let's see. Connie, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, there you are. Sorry, it's not showing on my screen. We're having a little gremlin. Haven't seen this all week, so we've been pretty lucky. But I got the little spinning wheel right in front of my face. So sorry about that. Go ahead. You're on the air.
So something's fishy this Friday.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Barry was on with Jerry Lynn earlier, so I'm just jumping on to highlight a few of his comments.
Yes, Barry Fordham.
Yes, Barry Fordham. With the Food Fishers Committee here. And me this morning, I'm very disappointed. I kept watching for a media release and that last night to possibly come out, because it normally comes out the day before the announcement would. So, it's very disappointing that we do not have an announcement today. On April 24th, we sat across from Minister Thompson, who said early May for the announcement, how everything was already known, that we were sharing with them from the survey that was taken. It seemed like we weren't telling them anything new that should have delayed anything with the decision being made. We were standing around waiting, as we were leaving the meeting, and you're saying, okay, great, let's get the announcement out to our people. And we made that announcement to our people on April 24th that, she said it would come early to mid-May. Well, here we are. It's the 15th. And just to say that we're very disappointed that the announcement's not there, that the fact that every year we have to wait for an announcement. So many Newfoundland families, the heartbreak, it didn't start this year. Watching our way of life slip away further from our hands while the hearts of coastal people are breaking across this island. And I want to jump on something that Dave Brazel just brought up. Being a senior advisor, global public affairs, and not-for-profits. He mentioned about money coming in for mental health and food security. Well, we're a prime example of that. The coastal communities, the seniors, those who still live and breathe this way of life, their mental health is suffering and their food security. So, we're back on today, I guess in a way of the optimism we had leaving that meeting in the 24th. It's now, we were saying yes and giving the minister the benefit of the doubt to our committee. And, now the word that we give to all of our members, which is 20,000 strong, didn't mean anything.
Yeah, well, I mean,
we couldn't rely on what we were given.
Well, I mean, the day is not over. This is the 15th. The minister did say, I can't imagine. I mean, she's been pretty clear a few times, and even earlier this week, reiterating that an announcement would come midweek, and I would be shocked if it goes beyond today.
Yeah, but she also told us that we would be informed in advance.
Well,
that we would be informed, something would come to us prior to the announcement, so we'd know it's coming.
Well, I mean, ministerial announcements, there's normally no heads up from a minister, depending on the announcement, especially if it's going to come through the agency of the minister, DFO. So again, I still think, when she said May 15th, no matter, pardon me.
Is there still a chance?
I think there's still a chance. I've known MP Thompson for a long time. There would be a lot of egg on face across the board for that department and the minister if something wasn't announced today, whether or not, here's what we may do, here's what we have it, but there's something that'll be announced. I'm not going to speculate on it. All I know is that all the indications, all media have been given, is that there's no change in that mid-month deadline. So I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt for now, until 4:30 or 5 p.m. our time. So I would say just hold fire.
I'm with you on that. I've been trying to give optimistic out all the time, but here, it's just this very day right now is we're all very anxious.
Yeah,
the entire food fishery.
I can understand this. Look, it is a big issue for all of us. It gets right to the heart of our cultural identity, of things we should always were able to do, and now we're limited to be able to do it by the feds. So I get it, right? It's been in our bonnet for a long, long time. And again, the minister knows this. The department knows this. The federal government knows this. I don't see a world in which they wouldn't live up to the commitment. But again, we can beat it to death and talk it till the cows come home. I'd say we should just hold our fire. If they don't come through today, then there'll be all kinds of time for these, for the mashing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okie doke. So let's hold tight.
Yep. We are hoping to have a food fishery solidarity day after we see the results of what the announcement's going to be. So depending on what the results are, stay tuned, because we've got island-wide people standing by. And we're ready to support for a fair and meaningful food fishery.
Absolutely. You're not alone. And as just one little footnote, I mean, originally the announcement was for June, but the minister went out of her way to say it would come earlier than that, mid-May. So let's hold our fire and see what happens today, and just let the hours pass and see what happens.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Connie. Appreciate it. And as soon as you hear anything, give us a shout back if and when we hear something. And either if not today, if it's later today, or if it's early next week, I'd love to follow up on this chat.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks again for having me.
You're welcome. Anytime. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye. All right, Beth. Let's go off to that second break in the morning. We got some phone callers in the queue, probably on similar vein, but especially on healthcare. Right after the break.
This is VOCM Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
Welcome back to the program. And yes, I'm getting a ton of emails here drawing my attention to a story that I am aware of, but I haven't had since the show began time to delve into it. But there are reports out there talking, especially at this time in the midst of negotiations between Newfoundland and Labrador, Quebec on the MOU. That story out of this came from an information legislation access to information request in Quebec, and it suggests that Hydro-Quebec fought for decades to hide old letters and correspondence back and forth about a proposed aluminum smelter. And that's because they fought hard to hide these details, because they were afraid it would derail the ongoing energy negotiations with Newfoundland and Labrador. So this report has just been coming out this morning. I haven't had a great look at it yet, but this basically goes back to the fight 2022. While researching Quebec's history, this woman, Marie-Claude Prémont, with a French aluminum company and a project that never materialized, they were digging into that and discovered that these documents were there, that Quebec really worked hard to not have revealed, as the impact might affect negatively on their end the current negotiations on the MOU. So this story is just breaking. I'm just having a quick read of it here while I have many callers in the queue. So I can multitask with the best of them, but I want to try to give not short shrift to any of our callers, of which let's go right to them. Line number 2. John, you're on the air.
Yes, John Whalen from Grand Falls, Windsor.
Yes, sir. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning to you, and congratulations on your new job.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's kind. You know, nobody has to stop to say it, but I really appreciate the numbers of people that have. So still early days. I appreciate everyone's patience, something to get used to, but here we go.
Well, I was going to say you've got big shoes to fill, but thus far you seem to be doing it very well.
Well, that is really a relief and just greatly appreciated, John. Really, thank you so much.
Yeah. Now I'm the chair of the Resident Family Council at Grand Falls Windsor Long-Term Care.
Yes.
Now that's a new long-term care home, public long-term care home, that was built here in Grand Falls Windsor down by the Export River. It serves 60 residents. Now, it doesn't have an official name yet, so some people call it the New Carmelite or the Home by the River.
That's a good one. I like the Home by the River.
Yeah, well...
right there on Valley Road, right?
Yeah, Riverview Chevrolet has been sold to Terranova Motors. So I'm hoping that we can have Riverview in our name before it's over. But the name
that's the least of your concerns, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, but one of my concerns is that a lot of people around town call it the P3, which is as you know, stands for Public-Private Partnership, which as an old socialist goes through me every time I hear it. So
I can appreciate that.
I hope we get an official name sooner rather than later.
Sure.
Now, the reason I'm calling specifically is that there was a review of long-term care and personal care released in January of 2025, over a year ago. Now, prior to the release of that report, our council, our resident family council, were going to the seniors advocate or to the Department of Health with concerns that we had about the care of our residents. Now, I want to say at the outset, I am very pleased with the care that my wife Sue is getting at Grand Falls Windsor Long-Term Care. But with any system like that, there are issues. And when we went to the seniors advocate and when we went to the Department of Health, we were told, be patient. This review was going to be revealed. Everything will be taken care of once this review was published. Well, that was a year ago. There's no implementation plan yet. The former Liberal government, and I haven't heard a peep out of the new Progressive Conservative government. There's no implementation plan for this review because there's a number of recommendations in that review for improving care for residents.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some of the shocking revelations that came out in the report, let alone the AG's report, which followed it right afterwards. But sorry, I just wanted to go ahead.
Oh, yeah, you go ahead.
Well,
now, what I want to focus on today is just one of the recommendations that's in that report. It's recommendation number 12, which is on, for anyone who's got the reports, on page 85. In LTC, which is short for long-term care, increase the direct hours of care for residents and adjust the skill mix and staffing model to ensure staff are working to full scope. Now, I only want to focus on one action item. Under that recommendation, there's 5 key actions that are required. I want to focus only on one of them, and it says in year one, increase the average direct care hours for nursing, PCAs, LPNs, and RNs in LTC from 3.4 hours per resident per day to 3.7 hours per resident per day, and by year two, increase to 4.0 hours per resident per day by increasing hours for PCAs. Now, they want to increase the hours for PCAs because it was seen with that the care was over-professionalized. We didn't have a proper mix of RNs and LPNs and PCAs.
Fascinating term, by the way, John. Over-professionalized.
Well, yeah. Well, see, but I know
what you're saying. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but in my role as the chair of our resident family council, the major complaint I get by far is that mom or dad is left sitting in their own waste for too long before they're changed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the PCAs come in. You know, they're the worker bees in long-term care. You know, it's their job to do that kind of primary care. So, like I said, I think just by my limited experience over the last few years, with my wife in long-term care,
mm-hmm.
like I said, we need more worker bees, and that increase to 4.0 would give you at our home would give us one more PCA.
And not only that, a lot more dignity for
I'm sorry, one more PCA on my wife's wing, and more dignity too.
Oh yeah, because when you're talking,
yeah. I often say, my wife has MS with some accompanying dementia, and I often say you're better off in long-term care if you don't have your wits about you, because my wife doesn't complain when she's soiled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
It's now she's got a permanent catheter, so I'm not worried about her being wet. But when I'll go into her room and I'll get a whiff, I'll go out to the desk and I'll tell. And in my experience is that she's changed in a very timely manner. So I'm very pleased with the care that I'm getting. Now, we're still not at 3.7. It said 3.4 hours. Okay, that was the average when they did the review. They said overall across the province, there's 3.4 hours per resident per day. The actual provincial standard is 3.5. Okay. At
mm-hmm.
our home, like in Waterfall Way where my wife is, it's about 3.52. So I guess we should be pleased that we're higher than the provincial average and 0.02 above the provincial standard.
John,
but, it's not good enough.
No, and it's unfortunate that we're down to the 0.2s and that sort of thing, because it really doesn't reflect what we need and the importance of this kind of care. John, I'm past the break. I never wanted to interrupt you, especially when we're talking about such a sensitive and personal issue regarding your wife. I hope you're well. I hope she's doing okay, and I hope this kind of period in your life, when you care for the people that you love the most, especially your partner in their elderly age when they're unable to care for themselves, it is, it's that next stage, of the devotion and the till death do us part sort of, the commitment you make for a lifetime, and you just do it. You don't think about the mess and that sort of thing. I've gone through it with my father, and it's just what you do. But the help from the government and these reports out there is crucial to know that you're supported in that work. That you know that there's some reason that someone's caring that you're actually in this situation, and that you have a loved one in that situation. And these point to sometimes lessen the importance of it because we get into the percentages and that sort of thing. I know it's important. I'm not discounting the importance of you pointing that out and where we are provincially and where the benchmarks are and where we stand. But I'm with you. There's a lot of work. That report was disturbing, to say the least. And this is just one aspect of it. I appreciate you just singling out one because it's such an expansive report, and I'm so limited for time here on the show, unfortunately. So I'll just give you a minute to wrap up, if that's okay.
Can I just say one more thing quickly before we go?
Yes, absolutely.
The national standard for long-term care is 4.1 hours per day. So even if this review is implemented in terms of staffing, we'll still be below the national standard.
Yeah, we have a lot to catch up on national standards, like other provinces do as well. We're in such a crunch staff shortage-wise and all that sort of thing. John, look, on behalf of the organization, of course, that you are with, and, of course, on your partner, and your call this morning is so important. It adds to this whole conversation. We can't let it fall off the radar or off the table. So I appreciate your time this morning on this.
You take care. Thanks so much for taking my call.
Absolutely. Anytime, John. Call again. Thank you.
I will.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye. Okay, Beth, great call, very important call. A lot of people in that boat. Let's take a break and back with Ed, who's also going to talk healthcare, and Craig on the price of power. Can't wait for that one after the break.
This is VOCM Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
Welcome back to the program. Just a couple of public service lost and found items I just wanted to pass along real quick. So one emailer says they found a set of keys on a walking trail in Mount Pearl. It doesn't say. I'm just picturing Powers Pond. I don't know that for sure. But a walking trail in Mount Pearl found some keys. Has a car fob and a number of keys on it. Looks like they might be a bit tarnished. Not clear how long they might have been there. But yeah, this emailer says they have this set of keys if you've recently lost set. Won't get into too much detail, of course, but that's all I have really, the key fob and a number of keys. We have a phone number here for that person. But if you want to call open line, if you think they may be your keys on a walking trail in Mount Pearl that you may have lost recently, that's one. And let's see, the other, someone has emailed to say they found a Swiss Army knife. They're a great convenient thing, especially on a long weekend. Swiss Army knife found at Sobeys, Kelsey Drive. And it was found on Wednesday, and there is a special engravement on it as well. So I'll just say that for now. And if you are missing that one, it's a Swiss Army knife found at Sobeys on Kelsey Drive on Wednesday of this week. Again, we have a phone number here. So if you know of someone or you lost it yourself, give us a shout here at Open Line 273-5211, or, of course, the long distance 888-590-VOCM 8626. And we can pass that on and connect you with the finder. Let's go right to line number 3. And, Ed, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian.
Morning.
How are you this morning? Welcome aboard, I guess.
Thank you very much. It's the end of almost week 2, so the hook hasn't come yet, as they say in the biz.
Yet, so you're doing okay.
I really appreciate it. Okay is fine with me, Ed. I appreciate that. I'll take it.
Anyway, about 3 years ago, I had an aneurysm, and I went into St. Clair's and got done. Dr. Woodman was my doctor, Dr. Heenahan, Dr. Major. I've been in this is my third time now I've been in, unrelated to the first operation, but still causing a problem with that operation. And the way that these gentlemen perform 7 days a week, they're heroes in my book. Every day they're there. They're checking on their patients, and the nurses in that hospital, they couldn't do enough for you. Everything you wanted was taken care of, and cheerfully. Even to the guy that came in and brought in your breakfast, and he'd come in a little bit later and say, here's what we got for dinner. There's 3 choices, and you could get your last name, and you know, all done with a pleasant place to be, a happy bunch of people, a happy bunch of nurses. I don't know how anybody could complain about them. But anyway, there was a nurse came in, and I think she must have been a head nurse. And she came in one night at 8 o'clock. I guess it was the beginning of her shift. And she started talking to me, and I said, you healthcare getting a bad rep. And I said, and from what I've seen, now I was in there 3 times, and I've yet to see a frown. And I said, you fellows are getting a bad rap, but I said, as far as I'm concerned, it got nothing to do with the hospital. It's more to do with the government. And I said, I know you fellows can't talk about it or anything like that, but I said, that's just my opinion. And that still is my opinion. But anyway, I was in there for 10 days the last time because on a different issue. But I had 3 days that I could walk around the hospital and do what I like. So I started, and I was in construction for 50 years. And I do know a bit about building. So I started walking around different floors, different times. I never saw a ceiling tile at a place. I went in, there was 3 chapels there. I think it was 3. And I went in, I was looking for flaws, something that was gone wrong. This is an old building.
Yeah, sure.
And I could see absolutely nothing at a place. Everything was pristine.
Ed, can you remind me just which building again we're talking about, just for people joining the conversation? Can you just remind me, because the staff here obviously deserve a great shout out too, but I just want to be specific again where we're talking about.
St. Clair's Hospital.
Right. Okay. Just want to make sure which facility.
And there was one little instance. I was in one room. There's 2 people in the room, right? I was on one side, and this nurse came in, and she said to me, that patient is going to another room now. She said, would you like to move over to the window place? And I said, well, I'm content here. And she looked at me, and she said, you sure? She said, there's a window place. And I mean, so I said, okay, well, 5 minutes after that, the nurses were in. They had everything moved, all of my stuff moved over to the other end, and I guess my window. And then there was a guy come in the next day in the next room, right?
Yep.
But I got nothing bad to say about that hospital. I go in Grand Falls Hospital. I walk down, when you walk down to X-ray department, the ceiling tiles up everywhere. You go upstairs, the ceiling tiles up everywhere, not put back. And what hurts me is that they were intending to tear down that hospital. And as far as I'm concerned, it'll outlast anything that's in St. John's right now, new and old. Yeah,
some of the old construction, and as you said, you've been in it for half a century in construction. Even a tertiary look, viewpoint can give you a good idea. Ed, look, I'm right on the news that we have to get to. I just want to say my experience, the vast majority of the plaints are not about the frontline people, as you have so rightly said. We all appreciate what they're up against, and the jobs they manage to do, despite all the problems we're having and the criticisms that the healthcare system take. It's not about them. We constantly get your calls about these calls about the people on the front lines being incredibly great, despite some of the pressures they're under. More of these calls are more than welcome. I got to get off to the news. I appreciate it. Can you call us again? These kinds of phone calls need to be put out there. Need to be we need to reflect that it is not the frontline people, not our nurses, not our doctors, the people who signed up for this for life, for careers that they love, and we hope they still love. But we just hope that more calls like this are always very helpful. Ed, thanks for the call.
Well, them 3 doctors, Dr. Woodman, Dr. Heenahan, and Dr. Major, heroes and the nurses, even to the janitor.
Yeah.
You could eat off the floor at my time, and I spent 12 hours in the throwing up. And any time at all, if you felt like eating, you could have eaten off my floor.
Point taken.
So, to not all bad about the health care, sometimes it's the attitude of people that are going in there. You got that right. And maybe people that are going too often. But that's just my opinion. Yeah. Ed, thanks again for the call. I appreciate it. Next time, don't be a stranger, as I always say. Bye-bye. Thank you. Okay, off to the news. Let's go, Beth, and we're right back with Craig on the Price of Power after the news.
This is VOCM Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the program. Just before we go to our next caller, just a quick email here on the long-term care and personal care workers discussion. As an RN for 37 years, this emailer writes, I can say that the reason there is a high uptake of PCWs, personal care workers, in LTC, long-term care, is because they are the cheapest to employ for this care. The complex, multifaceted nature of care for seniors is best suited for RN and LPN, licensed practical nurse, scope of practice in a best practice model. Unfortunately, personal care workers are well trained in hands-on care, but not in the complex critical thinking skills required for best care. And having more personal care worker hours in LTC does not make for better or best care. Our seniors deserve better care than that, and that's from a concerned registered nurse. Sounds like concerning to me as well. Thanks for the email. Let's go right to line number 4. And Craig, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How you doing?
Pretty good. Friday.
Yes. While I was waiting, I was just looking up insurance in Newfoundland, housing insurance.
Oh. Did it break?
We have approximately, say, 250,000 dwellings, and we pay out approximately, what does it say here? $1.something billion in insurance just to have our house, the safety of knowing that it may be replaced if it gets burned down. It said that we spent $70 million to replace these homes for the home insurance for the ones that burned in the fire last year. So why are we paying insurance companies billions of dollars every year when we can have our own insurance and pay for our own losses when needed? We save ourselves billions of dollars.
It sounds, wow, there's a lot on that.
That's not my topic. This is just a pointer for people to start using their minds and thinking about how our society is being ran today.
Yeah, insurance is a big one, especially in light of what happened last. But yeah, as you mentioned, it's not why you called, but listen, put that out there. I'm all over that conversation. I've actually just had a discussion with, was that Tuesday or Wednesday? Not here on the program, but a friend of mine I ran into, and that's all we talked about, that insurance. Oh, my God, insurance. On a Friday, It's so hard on the brain. I try to keep it light, but that's an important topic that has to be discussed for sure.
Well, everything that we pay for as taxpayers, be it the copper wire that went across with the railroads, or all the power lines that we paid to be installed, all the cable from cable companies that we paid to have put across the island, all the internet that we paid to put across the island, what do we get from it? We get a bill and more taxes. And yet, we paid to have Muskrat Falls put up there of $16 to $20 billion, approximately $57,000 per man, woman, and child in Newfoundland. And then we sell the power to, I thought it was a private company, Power NL, who sells it back to us. So we are we're more than doubling paying for power for us in Newfoundland. Now we're talking about all this power that's needed. Newfoundland has all the power it needs for its homes and to run its communities.
For domestic, absolutely.
Unfortunately, where you need excess power for data centers. The data centers, they're going to try to make us pay for them too. So all we're doing as taxpayers is paying corporations to set up their businesses so that they can put bills upon us. Now we export. When I did ER at that time with the NL Power, we produce approximately 40-something terawatt hours of power. We're only using 8 terawatts of power in Newfoundland. The rest of it gets exported. We're exporting enough power that every Newfoundland and Labradorian can have free power. Maybe pay $20 just for administration to have a piece of paper and go to your mail so that you can see your bill. It's all we need.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the process of Hydro selling to Newfoundland Power at certain rates, and that private company, of course, owned by Fortis, Newfoundland Power, and it's always been a question for many people around this discussion as to why Fortis was never, a major player in the major projects in this province beyond, running Newfoundland Power. Questions were always asked about why there was no involvement in Muskrat or elsewhere, and other projects involving private projects or whatever they may be, expansion, and especially now with the emergence of the different and especially critical minerals and all the other resources that we're looking at and the power that we need, especially in Labrador, I don't know if those insurance rates are going anywhere anytime soon, and all the extra costs that flow to us to keep their infrastructure and future, power source and energy and generation needs intact. You know what I mean?
Yes. I mean, we're just paying too much for what we're getting. Newfoundlanders were being ripped off.
Well, thank God for mitigation.
No more giveaways, and what are we doing?
Thank God for mitigation, because it would have been a 7%, I think, increase. It's going to be a 2.25, and it's going to try to, the financing of that's going to try to hold it steady at least till 2030, I think, or something like that. I got to look back at that. But, the mitigation, we'd be in real trouble, especially even coming with the next rates. Rate increases, they're holding them, I think, to 2.25 instead, an increase.
Exactly. I mean, it's crazy what's going on. But it also said that Power NL amalgamated with Nalcor Energy in January 1st, 2025. So now, apparently, there's no company, Power NL. It's apparently, according to this, we own it now.
According to what?
Here it just says, Newfoundland Labrador Hydro NL, Power NL, is a provincial crown corporation publicly owned by the government of Newfoundland.
Correct.
Labrador Corporation. It was amalgamated with Nalcor Energy effective January 1st, 2025 and operates under the name Newfoundland Labrador Hydro.
Well, I mean, Nalcor was dissolved, of course, and Oilco is still the replacement, for lack of a better term. The Oilco is still, they're actually a partner in the Bay du Nord project, right, with BP and Equinor, of course, as proponents. I'm not sure the Power NL. I mean, we have Hydro as a Crown agency, and they sell to Newfoundland Power, which is the private entity owned by Fortis. And Oilco is the replacement, for lack of a better word, of Nalcor.
Yeah. So we paid to have the power. We take the generated power, sell it to a private corporation. That private corporation charges us to use that power. I mean, I don't understand how Newfoundlanders thinks, but they're getting ripped off when they're paying for power twice. Just because Power NL distributes power down a power line, we're paying more than we would pay if we got our own power.
In what way? Just connect the dots for me.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we paid $16 billion to have Muskrat Falls there. Muskrat Falls sells 8 terawatts per hour of power to Power NL.
Right.
Power NL then sells the power back to us.
Mm-hmm. And around and around we go.
Yeah. So, I mean, people need to wake up to what's happening. We're being scammed every which way. Even here in Newfoundland, we produce oil. But now at the pumps, I'm paying $2.20 a liter. So if we spent $5 billion and in 5 years, we could have our own processing facility, making enough fuel for 2 million people, we'll ship out 1.5 million worth of it, and that would pay for our own free gas. People got to start thinking differently. Right? We're being ripped off so much. I've been doing research on different countries like Qatar, right? They only produce LNG gas. That's their major project that they send out. Mm. They have a citizen base of 300,000 people. They have a population of 2.9 million. The citizens there, they don't have no sales tax. They got no income tax. They get free education anywhere in the world. If you get accepted to a university, they will pay for you to go there. You get good health care. Obviously, we're not getting good health care. We get nothing here in Newfoundland. And we basically started off the same time with our oil industries. And Qatar has trillions of dollars investing. We have people waiting to come into Newfoundland to invest their money. But because the bureaucrats in our offices, they're not allowing it to come in. So we're being screwed that way. We're being screwed on our future. We're being screwed on our oil and our gas, our fishery, our power consumption, our insurances. Everything that we do here, we're being screwed over for, just so that a few people can make a few dollars for themselves and screw everybody over. Now, if these people, leaders, so-called leaders, got any inclusion that they can actually do something to make it better for Newfoundland, they would benefit. But unfortunately, we're going down a bad road. And the chaos around the world is going to be coming to our shores. So Newfoundland needs to wake up to the reality or the possibility of what we need to do here. We have no leaders in there that sets a vision for Newfoundland, where we're going. It's all guesswork. And then these guys work behind their closed doors, making all the deals for themselves. And once he does their political tour, he gets put into a board of a company that rips us off more. That's how Newfoundland works. It's unfortunate that other people don't see this, or why I see it, no one else does. But something needs to change drastically. Now, some guy said there that, we have a vote. We never got a chance to vote in 1949, right? Newfoundland was given away because iron ore was found up in Labrador. And that British government and the Canadian government at the time kept that secret. And then once they put a fake vote out there to convince the people that they actually thought they had a choice in their future, right? They gave Canada Britain gave Canada, or Newfoundland to Canada for paying off the war debt in Britain. And now we're no longer a nation under the control of all of the resources, the trillions of dollars of resources that we have here, and we're being robbed of it, screwed, raped.
Yeah, I'm not a big
future that we have.
Not a big fan of the R word when it comes to that sort of thing. But no, look, Craig, loud and clear, message heard loud and clear. I got to get off the break. I didn't want to give you a short shrift. There's a lot on that, ripped off and all that sort of thing. There are business, not alone in that business environment, but I appreciate the call. The next few days are going to be real interesting, especially next Tuesday when we see what's happening with the MOU. So I'm sure you'll be tuned in for that.
Appreciate it, Brian. Thank you. God bless everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, too. Thanks, Greg. Okay, off to that break, Beth. We'll be right back.
This is VOCM Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the program. And just before we go to calls, and we had some lines open, by the way, so I know I had a couple of emailers mention love to call, but I can't get through. They are definitely loosened up a bit here now. People relaxing a little bit ahead of the long weekend, taking a breather. So now is your chance, 709-273-5211, 1-888-590-8626, or VOCM, of course. And I mentioned earlier in the show, and we're keeping an eye on this, I did put a call out and some messages out to the town of Deer Lake, hoping for an update on the flood watch that's occurring on the West Coast and around the town, and the Humber River, of course, as this controlled water release is scheduled to begin around lunchtime, noontime. So, of course, this is because the water levels have rose so high compared to last summer. I mean, it was, if you talk to the people out around that area who saw it last year, very low, record lows, and now she's bursting at the seams. And on top of that, and I won't say bursting at the seams, but it's up higher than average, and it's already a little bit nerve-wracking at the shoreline. And now today, Deer Lake Power, of course, Kruger-owned Deer Lake Power, is in a situation where they sort of have to release an amount of water in order to ease pressure on the dam. And, there are concerns about what will happen here and how high it will rise. There are people camping, and other sites along the shoreline there around Deer Lake, and just for the town in general, and right up the Humber River. So the spill gates at the main dam are supposed to open around lunch, and originally they were going to open 3. I believe I heard yesterday that it will just be 2. I'd love to have something official on that. So if anyone from the town or Deer Lake Power or Kruger is listening, or if someone, they're not, and somebody is, and can let them know we're making a call out. And they say the control release, of course, is a precaution to maintain the safe levels on the Grand Lake Reservoir, which makes eminent sense. It's just that the situation currently is already pretty bad, so the levels are expected to rise. The question is how much, and nobody can say for sure how much, because this involves not just rainfall and that sort of thing, but the runoff from all of the higher elevations around that area that sort of seep and run down into the Humber River. And look, it was a great season for marble, and a great season for backcountry snowmobiling and all the other winters, recreational and other exercise. We love to get out in the winter. Look, it was a great snowfall year for all those reasons and for tourism, but now it's coming home to roost a bit. So they say the conditions may fluctuate over several days. So safety reminders, residents near the river should stay alert, monitor conditions closely. Low-lying and flood-prone areas, places already prone to flooding, should be prepared in case of conditions worsen. Just stay away from the riverbanks, obviously, and the shorelines, although I'm sure when you just say that, it's going to, they'll flock. But at least I expect safely so to have a look and see how it rises. Obviously, keep children back away. Do not attempt to cross it. the flooded water or cut off areas. So, I hope people heed these words of advice. They may seem pretty simple and straightforward, but, even though they may seem that way, people still tend to, run to it as opposed to from it. Anyway, the town says it is working with Deer Lake Power, Fire and Emergency Services. Water levels are being actively monitored, so everyone's keeping a close eye on it. But again, you need to just stay close to your official sources of information, whether that's the town of Deer Lake on all of their socials, of course. They call it the Voyant Alert, of course, maybe come out. They have that as well. So, yeah, flooding, real possibility out around that area. Anyone in the area that could be affected by this, least of which Mayor Dean Ball. If you got a moment, if you want to share a few moments with us and give us a shout here, let's call the long distance number, 1-888-590-VOCM. And I'm understanding, I believe, we have a little bit of breaking news coming into the newsroom. And breaking news always gets your attention. Let's take that. Let's go right to the newsroom. No, we're going to take a break first and then go to the newsroom. I think, we're just trying to get our heads around the breaking news. Right. Quick short break and then some breaking news out of the newsroom coming up.
This is VOCM Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
Okay, as promised, some breaking news in the newsroom. Let's go right to our own Linda Swain. Linda, what's going on?
Yeah, so we all know that the food fishery has dominated discussion on VOCM Open Line. I don't need to tell you, Cal, but people have been calling for some time now for an extension of the food fishery to full weeks here in Newfoundland and Labrador. That would be akin to what's going on in the Maritimes right now. Well, MP Joanne Thompson has made the official decision. The food fishery is being extended now to full weeks in parts of Newfoundland and Labrador. Those are the parts that where the cod stocks are strong. So all along the Avalon Peninsula, the northeast coast, right through to the southeast coast of Labrador. The west coast and the south coast for now will remain at 3 days a week. And I just literally got off the phone with Joanne Thompson, the minister responsible for fisheries. Here's what she had to say. Well, Minister Joanne Thompson, the Department of Fisheries and Oceans has listened to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador who overwhelmingly wanted to see this inequity addressed. What are you doing?
Well, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for leading with, we listened, and I am very proud that, I said last year when the food fishery opened that I would undertake a process of listening, engaging with people, and then set decisions going forward based on what was shared with me. And before I go into today's decision, I just want to share the key points from the extensive consultation process. And the first being, this is an important fishery for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, and it is a food source. I heard that across the board. But I also heard people wanted increased flexibility. They want and understand that management measures need to be tailored to the distinct stocks. People understand that the 3 cod stocks are not all in the same shape. 2 are in critical zone. The West Coast is a moratorium on commercial cod fishing. On the the East Coast, we know our northern cod stock is in a healthy zone. And certainly sustainability. We need this.
And I'm not sure what happened there, but that was the part of the interview suddenly got cut off, and I'm not sure why. But basically, that's it. It's the northeast coast of Newfoundland, the Avalon Peninsula, right through to the southeast coast of Labrador. And by the way, Brian, I asked the minister about increased enforcement, and she tells me that they're not going to be policing families out on the water. They're not interested in doing that, so they're not going to be harassing you or checking at the wharf, but they will be watching and prosecuting people who are selling fish illegally.
Right. Okay. So recap. Let's see. Can you just, I know that the interview was there and you gave a great little concise off the top, but let's just recap the highlights here again. So 7 days a week for 2J3KL, and for people who know the fishery, that is really the East Coast and up the north and down, really the east side of the island. And then the other parts, of course, as I said, where are the other areas, Linda, that will not be affected, that are staying at 3?
That would be the South Coast and the Gulf of St. Lawrence. And, of course, the fish stocks there are not doing quite as well. They're still considered to be in the critical zone. Mm-hmm. People in that area are well familiar with that situation. So that's going to remain at 3 days a week in those 2 areas. By the way, the fishery will run from Canada Day to Labor Day. So that's nice to know, because it used to be a big guessing game, if you recall, to find out when the food fishery was happening. And a lot of people plan their vacation time around the food fishery. So now you know that it's going to be from Canada Day to Labor Day. And they're taking away some of the guesswork in the fall fishery, which is going to be 9 days at the very end of September. So it won't be extending into October when, we tend to get a lot of wind and that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I guess the people in the know, I'm looking forward to hearing from the Barry Fordhams of the world and others who, and of course we had a couple of callers earlier this morning, maybe a little prematurely taking the minister for task to not meeting that mid-May deadline, but she has now. And, it seems to be trying to appease a lot of people here, at least to make those inroads. I don't really think they had a chance to do some kind of a change here, whether it was the 7 days. But it's interesting that they're still looking, at stock resources when it comes to the food fishery. A lot of people find that counterintuitive,
Well, she did say right from the get-go, as did officials within DFO, that they were going to base all of this on the science. And that is why we're seeing this sort of disparity between the East Coast and the West Coast. But I think overall they understand that the people of Newfoundland and Labrador feel very strongly about this. I don't need to tell you. I know that when I was hosting the show, it dominated discussion. It's come up in the House of Commons. It's come up in the House of Assembly. People think of it as a birthright here in Newfoundland and Labrador. So they put out a survey to see how people, to see what people thought about it. And the overwhelming majority of the 10,000 people who responded to the survey, guess where they were from? Here in Newfoundland and Labrador. It was an overwhelming majority. I think it was like literally a handful of people from elsewhere. So people feel very strongly about this, and they took that under advisement, obviously.
Yeah, we compared ourselves a lot to the Maritimes and what they had, the kind of more access to it, if you will, than we did.
But they don't care about it over there.
Exactly.
It
doesn't seem to be, certainly.
No, they don't.
Not as much in anywhere else. Linda, thanks for this. Obviously, we'll be watching for the fallout. We welcome opinions here. We'll see if that appeases the masses. For now, at the very least, at least it's a change, and it is a change for the better for the 7 days, at least for this side of things. And I'm sure we'll hear as more people dive into all of the different aspects of this. I'm sure people get their heads around it and they start looking at the details. They'll have opinions, so we look forward to that. And I thank you for this.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing what people have to say. And by the way, sorry about that little technical glitch. Not sure what happened there, but we'll be running that full interview with Joanne Thompson during news at noon.
Sure. How long? Yeah, okay. I was going to say, does it run much longer, because I'd still like to hear. I'm sure I got a couple of emails asking what else she had to say. So who knows? If we fix that tape, we may run it again just in a little while, if that's possible. But other than that, keep your ear to the radio and to our VOCM.com, and the details are there. And I thank again Linda Swain. Thanks for this.
Thank you.
Breaking news here on VOCM. We break it first, of course. You know it. Let's see. What'll we do? Yeah, let's take that caller. Let's see. Rendell, Tolson, you're on line 1.
Yes, good morning. Brian, is it?
Yes, sir.
Brian, first time speaking with you, buddy. Nice to hear you got the post there, and you're doing a great job.
Again, I thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Brian, I've been involved with the Janeway over the years, and the telethon that's coming up, I think I stand to be corrected. I think it's the 6th and the 7th of May, which is only less than a month now. And actually 3 weeks and more night, I think. That's for the Janeway telethon itself, right?
Yeah, I think you say June I think that's the right
June
date.
6th and 7th, I think that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I've been in...
We here at VOCM, of course, have I have always had a grand role in that, and rightly so, for the Janeway telethon. I think Greg Smith might even be kicking around here a little bit, who's had some experience with that and appearances. But go ahead, tell us something. I'm going to see if Greg's around too, who can speak to this, because I have all the time in the world for the Janeway telethon, that's for sure. But go ahead.
And I likewise myself, because I was rushed in there in 1970 with mast and a touch of meningitis. and with only an hour to live at the time. So it was a pretty touching situation for me, and I've had my own children in there and grandchildren, and I started a fundraiser there in Harsconet in 1988, and I proceeded to go on in 93 right to St. John's with the lady, the Newfoundland pony, for a fundraiser.
Oh,
and
yes.
I went to St. John's in 93, 94, and the 500th anniversary of Newfoundland, which is 1997. I went back again. In those couple of years, Iris had a bad accident, but she managed to recuperate and go on back in the 97 a year, right? In 1997 rather, which would have been the 500th anniversary of Newfoundland. But anyhow, I have a Janeway fundraiser dance tomorrow night at the Hearts Content Rec Centre. And that is Saturday, May 17th, and Pins Disco is playing for the dance.
There you go.
And again, it's at the Hearts Content Rec Centre, and the time to start is 9 p.m. and the admission on the door is $10 single.
And did you say it's Pins Disco? Is that who's doing it?
Pins Disco from Carbonear.
Oh,
Yep.
so does that mean it's all disco all the time?
No, it's all kinds of music, right?
Okay, because
it's a great. They're a pretty good sound system, I must say. I get them a good lot, and they do a great job, and the people are really happy with the dance and have a good night.
Yeah, get your.
Everything is pretty short. Likewise, when I started this, I used to have fundraisers over on the North Shore of Conception Bay, up to Brian's Country Club, so far as Winterton and all around the area, New Perlican, and all around the areas. But things have tightened up a lot over the years. I find that there's not a lot of people, especially since COVID and all that. A lot of people are really wary about things.
Oh, absolutely. And, you mentioned meningitis is a scary one. I got to tell you, Tos, it always, especially in children, because it can mask itself as other issues, and time is really of the essence, as you said. It could have been touch and go for you. And especially in those days when, healthcare has advanced a lot in the years, it might have been not so easy to discover back then. And I, too, was cared for in great care as an infant at the Janeway. And received care here, and then up along as an infant in Montreal. But it was the Janeway that took care of me, and it's never lost on me or my mom when we talk about it. And that goes back a bit. But I've always got that spot in my heart because who knows if I'd even be here today. We have all the time in the world. And as I mentioned, there he is now. Greg Smith is just sitting in the chair. Greg, Janeway Telethon coming up. You've got a little bit of experience with that.
Yeah, I'll be back hosting again this year, thankfully. Yeah, it's always a good time.
Greg, you're going to be back hosting, are you, bud?
Yeah, I'll be back there, I think, Sunday afternoon, but it's going to be a critical year. Every year's a critical year for the equipment they raise, but this year in particular supporting, across several different departments, some critical equipment. I think they're doing the emergency room, pediatric trauma. I think there's perioperative surgical services that are being looked at this year, diagnostic imaging, so it's a whole bunch of things on the agenda for this year. It's going to be a very large weekend in just a couple of weekends.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing here, the 2026 champion child is Carly McDonald this year, too. Shout out to Carly. Of course, they have an annually. We have the champion child, so the focus would be there, and that's fantastic. Support priority equipment, of course, in pediatric emergency room, surgery, and diagnostic, and as quite rightly pointed out, that's Saturday the 6th and Sunday the 7th of June, of course, on NTV, and broadcast. Of course, VOCM will have Grand Proud there with our own Greg Smith, right front center. Anything else, Tolson, before we let you go?
Great stuff. I'd just like to throw out one thing, that when I was rushed in there in 1970, the doctor that operated on me at the time, he's left Newfoundland. I'm not sure exactly, because I was seeing him for a while after. His name was Dr. Victor Yap.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Victor Yap. I don't know if some people would remember the name.
I'll bet they do.
Yeah, he was a great guy, really great guy. He was touching everything. He used to run a clinic on Rollins Cross, Military Road.
Wow, and that's where my doctor's, my dentist was there, and my doctor for a little while, but I had fears of Rollins Cross growing up as a kid because that was my dentist, and I was scared the death of the dentist. Still, I've overcome it. You got to do that.
Right. I'd just like to say one other thing while I'm on the air with you here now. I'm a town councillor in the town of Hearts Content.
Yeah, sure.
And I've been on the council here for going on 25 years of fall. And I'd like to acknowledge that this year will be the 160th anniversary of the landing of the first successful transatlantic cable from Valencia, Ireland to Hearts Content, Newfoundland.
Oh, that's a great one to point out.
Have you ever been in the cable station, Brian, in Hearts Content?
I have not been inside it. I have been all around it and traveled down through and passed by. It's a shocking shame that I have not been inside.
As a lot of people don't realize that is the eighth wonder of the world.
Yep, it's that first communication. It flies under the radar a little bit sometime. No pun intended.
Yes. And having said that about the 150, well, 2016 was the 150th, and we took over the lighthouse as a town back then, and we'd made a lot of progress on different things out there. And this year, we'll be celebrating the 160th of the landing of the cable, no doubt, and 10 years of taking over the lighthouse. But also the red part of the building, it'll be, heritage-wise, it'll be built 150 years this year.
Yeah, 1866, I guess. It's always, Signal Hill and Marconi gets all the glory, but the first transatlantic telegraph cable landed at Hearts Content. That was no small thing.
Well, it didn't land at Hearts Content. This is where people get confused. It landed in Sunnyside, Bay of Bulls Arm, now Sunnyside, right?
Right, to the shoreline,
Let this be significant because
you got it.
At that time, God love them, that the cable never lasted. And if the cable would have lasted there, Hearts Content would never been in the picture in the beginning. But the Great Eastern was the largest ship afloat in the entire world when it landed the cable in Hearts Content. Imagine that.
Yeah.
You go out and stand up by that lighthouse. I go out there and I imagine. I'm going to be 71 years old, and I think about it. I said, just imagine a boat of that magnitude, and she had everything on her. If you looked at the video and seen what they got up there in the cable station now, and it tells of it, she even had a slaughterhouse on her for butchering animals and serving them fresh right onto the plate, basically.
Yeah,
it was unreal, state of the art for a boat that size.
The tank,
4 decks. She was 693 feet long.
Jeez.
It was amazing.
Love the detail and, of course, the history, and we need to be reminded of it all the time, Tolson, and especially from someone with your experience and breadth of experience in the municipality and the town out there. I love it. Advocates for their own town, and to remind people of the history. Like, we think those tankers coming into Sunnyside now are big in Placentia Bay. They were coming long before that.
Well, there it is, Brian. I'm going to throw you out an offer like I throw out to Patty, and I haven't seen Patty yet. I hope I'll see you. Perhaps Patty will be here someday.
Yep.
But if you come here and you want to do a tour of the town, I'll be glad to take you on a tour, and we'll end up at the Legs Restaurant for lunch.
Oh, it sounds great. I love the in-province road trips. We did one last year. Got to do one out of the province this year, but I'll take that, and I'll hold on to it, and you'll hear my knock on the door, no question.
Well, okay. If you got my phone number there now.
Absolutely.
If you want to take and put in your you can do that, and you'll have me ready to go. And just give me a day or so notice. So if I'm afraid I'm gone somewhere, but if I can, I certainly will give you a run around the community. And you'll look at and a lot of people, tourists, say to me when I go talking to them, they say, "What's the experience? What do you think of Hearts Content?" I said, "The name says it all."
Yeah. Right, that's the selling point right there. Like, you had me at Hearts.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Take care and have a good weekend, and everybody drive safe the weekend and take care. And if you're in the Hearts Content area, pop into the rec center Saturday night. You'll certainly have a whale of a time.
Oh my God, I tell you, that'd be a laugh if I could find or work around that. But look. Have fun. Be careful out there, and give us a little call back later and let us know how well it went.
I'll do that.
Thanks,
Take
Tulsa.
care. Stay safe.
All right, you too. Thanks for the call.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. Great call. Thanks, Tolson. Okay, a little bit past the break. Going to come back right after the break with Sam on the food fishery. The big announcement just occurred. The reactions coming in fast and furious. We'll get right to it after the break.
This is VOCM Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the show. As promised, let's go to line number 2. And Sam, you're on the air.
Oh, good morning, Brian. This is a great day for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. But first, I would like to thank Barry and his committee for all over the years for fighting for this. And all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians with the response we had, and it was so good. And I want to thank Minister Thompson for her decision. At least came out. That was I was quite nervous because normally we don't get good news from politicians on Friday, but I got to say this is very exciting, and well, I'm really happy with it. No, I know I don't think everything was gotten. I wasn't expecting to hear that you'd end up with the increase and everything like that, and the fish in the amount of the catch and everything. But this is a really big breakthrough for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, And I hope that people do not go out and abuse it. We fought so hard to get it, and I'm very thankful for it, and I'm sure every other Newfoundlander and Labradorian and people away coming home on holidays and things like that are going to be very happy to be able to go out and catch a few fish.
Yeah, we got a little bit more flexibility, and it's funny you mentioned that comment about governments and bad news on Fridays. You're absolutely right. It's a thorn in my side or a bee in my bonnet, or whatever you want to call it. Drives me nuts, save the bad news for late on a Friday and then hope that the news cycle overcomes it on the weekend and then everybody forgets about it on Monday. That won't be the case here because, yes, good news on a Friday. We can use more of it. So just to recap, the food fishery from Canada Day to Labor Day will be extended to 7 days a week in 2J3KL. And again, that's, the nose and the tail and the East Coast mostly and up a little north and down a little south. Around that whole swath of the Avalon, below the Burin Peninsula, above the the Bonavista Peninsula, and all that area in between. But, of course, there's a small caveat, and they do say because the stocks aren't performing as well in other parts of the province, i.e., more the south coast, the Gulf of St. Lawrence, that sort of area, they will remain at 3 days a week. And the fall food fishery, of course, will be held on the last 9 days of September. And the bag limit as well, hey, Sam, it's staying at 5 per person.
Yes.
But the 15 fish per boat limit has been eliminated. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. There's always been questions about how you can go out and get another 5 under another person and all these other ways you could skirt the rules. But overall, it's great to hear calls like yourself. And positive, at least for the effort that the minister made, hey?
Oh, my God, yes. I think everybody should be quite happy with it, And like I say, we have to look after it. We have to keep it. And that's one of the biggest things that I want to see. Now we have the opportunity. We can go out every day during the week, whenever we want to, right? And that was the biggest part, I think, even in the survey and everything like that, was to be able to have that opportunity to pick a day if you want to go out. That don't mean to say that people are going to go out every single day, because what would you do with the fish? And people are not running into Costco and everything like that, buying up freezers or anywhere else to try to store cod. Right? No, that's the way I look at it that way. Right? But to me, I think it was a fantastic announcement, and I want to congratulate everybody on it.
Sam, are you at it much yourself? How much do you partake yourself? Just curious.
Well, I partake in it a lot, really, because it's a large family, and I have people come home from the mainland and everything like that I take out, and there's people around the community and stuff like that, and not everybody got a boat. So that's right. The other thing, right? So you take people out, and some disability people, every year, I have a letter for my brother that's in a wheelchair that can't go out. We catch the fish for him, but it's, I think it's great news all around. I'm really delighted. And I used to keep track of the days that we would miss with the weather and everything. I think last year there was 18 days that we couldn't get out where I goes out from due to the weather on weekends. And the year before that, there was something like 19 days we couldn't get out for weather. Now, that's what I call it. I wouldn't go out. I didn't consider it safe enough for me to go out, and I got a 21-foot boat. So, this way, if there's a beautiful day on Tuesday, because usually on the weekend there used to be, the weather would be miserable there, and then you come in on Tuesday, right? Beautiful, calm day. There's your boat tied onto the wharf. You wouldn't be able to go out, right? Yeah. But now, at least, we have this opportunity to do.
Yep.
So I got to say, I'm really glad.
Yeah, it seemed, and again, the reaction I'm getting here, it's all positive right now. I mean, you're always going to find the critics will throw into it, such as, and I know the minister mentioned, they will not be policing people out on the water, but will be enforcing the law surrounding the illegal sale of fish. So you might not see them coming up alongside, but what's going on at the wharf and when you land her, That'll be another interesting facet to it. You're okay with that, still keeping an eye on that area, or do you think it's just a waste of time?
No, I think it's excellent decision that she made, and like I say, like she says, people are not going to be harassed or anything like that. But I still say you're still going to have few people that are going to go out and abuse it, like any other system. No, I'm not that green that I don't know that either. Right? There will be people that will abuse it, but you can't punish everybody for 3 or 4% of the people around, right?
Absolutely.
So I will be sticking with the rules. There's no doubt about that. And majority of the people that I know always stays within the rules, because nobody wants to lose their boats or anything like that, or have big fines. No. So I think everybody's just going to have to use their own common sense and play by the rules.
Absolutely. That's what we ask for. Rules are made. Sometimes people say to be broken, but, they've been relaxed here somewhat. That's for sure. Yeah. So, there's some relief there. Some good news for a change. We're not getting a shaft, as somebody sent to me, again, by the feds. There's an opinion on that. But they listened on this one, and I think it's some common ground, and it's a great first start, I'll say. So, Sam, I appreciate the call, and I look forward to hearing from others.
Yes, and I appreciate all the time that your VOCM has after giving me over the years, too, the opportunities on Open Line to get on and talk about the food fisheries, because I was one of the ones that was steady calling in, looking for changes and everything like that, and reporting what the weather was like, days that you couldn't get out and things like that, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So I'd just like to thank everybody.
Yep, that was a big safety aspect, was a large part of it. Thanks again, Sam. Don't be a stranger. I look forward to your call again. And, of course, the Barry Fordhams of the world, love to hear from you. And we're going to get off to the news.
God, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks again, Sam. All right, take care. All right, off to the news, and we'll be right back.
This is VOCM Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
All right, and welcome back to the show. I'm not going to let Brian Medore go that easily without putting a rabid Habs fan on the line and ask Brian Medore, what do you make of the run, buddy?
Ole.
Ole.
Well, I was watching 4-3 from Montreal last night, and then next thing I know, it's 5 after 4 in the morning, so I've got to go to the recorded and watch the rest of the game. But, yeah, that was something else. They got the offensive dynamics are really kicking in all kinds of ways, because the goals were so different. It wasn't just like, well, everything's either a power play or it's a 5-on-5 or it's a slap shot from the point or it's a lucky bounce. Everything was different last night. When they were down, they really put her all together, and even the first part of the second period, the Sabres had a chance to go 2 goals up, and you kind of thought that if they did, the Habs were in trouble. Got to stop. Can't say we. Brian.
You can say we.
Okay,
full disclosure here. Your jersey's on there 24/7. What are you talking about?
Let's go for it. Yeah, I slept in it last night. There you go. But the first part of that second period, they could have really put their mark on it, the Sabres, but they just couldn't get over that hill. And then Montreal poured it on 2 for 2 in the power play. Demidov, how about that goal? Wow, that rocket of a shot.
And that was long overdue. He was waiting. Yeah. Everybody was waiting for that, and you knew it wasn't just going to be a chintzy one. It was going to be a roof baby. I go back to the middle of that whole goal scoring fiesta in the first period.
Yeah.
And after the third goal, the cameras caught St. Louis looking at his assistant coaches going, what do we do?
Yeah.
And that was the turning point for me, if you want to call it the TSN turning point.
I think so.
If they haul him there, I think they lose the game.
Because he made some great saves. Even when you got into the third period, it made some great saves.
Yeah.
He had 36
saves in total.
36 shots in total. And the other guy, the backup for Buffalo, had, I think, 23, something like that. So,
Yeah, no, you can't. And now the confidence for Dobish has to be through the ceiling, because not only did the coach and the players show confidence in him, they went out and scored 6 more. Like, you look back to the Tampa series, how tight it was, how tight the checking, 9 shots on goal, and they still won that game 7.
Yeah.
And now they've found the scoring. Dobish is getting more comfortable for a rookie, and I'm sorry, as a Ken Dryden fan, I see Ken Dryden all over this guy.
Yeah.
just like Patrick Roy in his rookie year. So it is, it's swept up. There's no question about that. And I mean, look, people say, there's no points for Newhook last night. Again, didn't work any less hard. Everybody played their role last night, and that's why they're putting the Sabres in their place.
Oh, yeah, they're getting the scoring from, you don't know where the scoring is going to come from. Could be Alex Newhook, 6 goals in the playoffs, the winner over Tampa Bay. You just don't know where it's going to come from.
Yeah, we had Terry Ryan on the show here yesterday.
Yep.
He pointed out something that others have. This is just a different team. You don't have to be a Habs fan to see that, they're likable, they're a young crowd, they're the youngest team in the playoffs left. And then you wonder about the rust on Carolina. So the more they, find their legs and the momentum kicks, and if they finish them off on Saturday night, that's going to be something else. But if and when they do that, it'll be interesting to see the kind of, what the coaches in Carolina are doing to prepare their team for that. It's going to be fascinating.
Well, the thing about Carolina, though, I think they probably have, I don't know, you could go certainly a few votes for Dobush as the MVP, but certainly for the Carolina goaltender, I still don't know why Toronto didn't
Anderson,
keep him. I just can't fathom why they would get rid of Frederik Andersen, and they kind of been in that goaltender hinterland ever since, really.
Yeah, back to the days, they needed one of those stalwarts, bring a Belfour into it, or a Cujo or something like that. Someone with a name, someone with experience. Although I do remember, Freddie Andersen had those, not just an injury, but he had some serious health issues, heart issues, if I recall, back in the day, back when he was with the Leafs, and there was a lot of uncertainty around his health. But he's coming to his own in Carolina, no question.
Yeah, so he's going to get some votes for the Conn Smythe. Right now, he just might be a Conn Smythe. You've got a Mitch Marner over there in Vegas doing things that I didn't think he was going to do. I didn't think Vegas was that good of a team going into the playoffs. I thought they were a first-round exit, and look where they are now.
It does speak to, how does Maple Leaf win a Stanley Cup? They get traded. That's the old joke. But no, I'm sorry. It's not just. You could apply that to anyone. But let's face it. It must be hard for Leafs fans watching Marner light it up there now.
The only thing is, though, I'm not too comfortable with this situation with Montreal because it's. I just kind of see it as, yes, they did win on the road in Tampa Game 7, but I don't know. I just have that little guy down in the pit there saying that, they got to win tomorrow night in Montreal. They have to win. If it goes back to Buffalo, look out, Game 7, 50-50, but I just kind of feel they have to win it tomorrow night.
Yeah, and I'm with you there a little bit. Of course, they did it against Tampa.
They did.
And Tampa are no slouches. Tampa, you could argue if they've gotten out of that, they could go on another run. So sometimes you don't know what they've overcome until you get further in, and you wonder how good Tampa really was. And they managed to take them out in 7. They could be on a real historic roll here. It'd be something else.
But they still had no business winning that Game 7. Would they have 9 shots on goal?
Yeah, total 9.
We had a 0 for the whole second period. So they had no business winning that game. So I just have that feeling that, you better do it tomorrow night.
Yep, it speaks to a little bit, though, of sometimes it's just meant to be, and teams that find ways to win even when you have no output, and you still find a way to win, let alone in Game 7.
Yep.
And let alone, thanks to a Newfoundlander.
There you go.
St. John's boy.
Otherwise, we're not there, probably.
Yep. And speaking of good Newfoundlander hockey players, in about 45 minutes, Team Canada will take to the ice at the World Hockey Championships against Sweden, and our own Dawson Mercer there. So I know you guys will be keeping an eye on that in the newsroom.
We do. I haven't followed the World Hockey Championships all that closely the last little bit because it happens at this time, when you're watching the NHL playoffs, baseball kicks in, all that kind of stuff is going on. So it's kind of, I don't put that front and center, but it is a great tournament. There's so many countries that have a great second, a great third, enough for a great second, great third team.
Absolutely.
Most of them there.
The Latvias of the world who have club teams that always play together. These guys always play together. So they're an actual team as opposed to the teams we throw together.
The collection,
But hey, with Sidney Crosby and the other, Scheifele and Tavares, and, there's a lot of good names on this team. And it'll be great to see Crosby, just at this point now over there on that world stage in Switzerland, and to see what he can summon up in the latter parts of his career. And the fact that he's doing this, taking it on late in his career, you could, if he plans to, I don't know how much more he plans to play, but, a lot of players might I don't want to use selfishly, but might hold back a little and want to save their body for the next season if they're planning to. But no, sir. He puts on the jersey for Canada, and good on him.
Oh, great Canadian. A great Canadian. Yep. And still in great shape, you know.
A few that will always go down in history as Captain Canada's, you know.
Yeah, and he's one.
Yep, absolutely. Brian Medore, looking forward to our chat after the show as well. And Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada. That's going to be wicked. Thanks again.
Right you are.
Okie doke. Let's take our short break. And Paul, I really apologize. I see you there now. Wanted to have that little chat because I had so many messages, just emails coming in just sporadically about the Habs and about Alex Newhook and Dawson Mercer, and being Friday and our fun Fridays. Let's just nice to take a little chat. And a little escape from all the hard, big news out there. But we're going to get right back into it, talking MOU and electricity rates with Paul right after this break.
This is VOCM Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the show. Okay, let's go right to Paul. And again, I apologize, Paul, for the delay and the wait, and I appreciate your patience. You're on the air.
Yes, Brian, how are you this morning?
Great, sir. Thanks. Busy one at all, for sure, and we love that here. So there you go.
Okay. No, I was quite patient. I mean, it was. I'm not a very good hockey player, but I watch Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And no, I appreciate all the information there. And wow, Brian, lots of news in the past few days. Curiously enough, things are aligning with a very critical announcement coming on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm wondering
Brian,
what you make of the time. I'm just curious, if you don't mind me about it. What do you make of the timing of it all? There's just so many.
I don't think people can read into it all they want, but I think over the past several years, really, and I'll try to stay on topic now. But back in 2017. There was some change. People talk about Newfoundland Hydro, Newfoundland Power, and I'll kind of take a little sideline here. Dennis Brown used to talk a lot then. His counterpart, the energy expert from, I believe, Mr. Bowman's from the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's probably retired now, but they always were talking about smart meters. Now, I just found, actually, while I was waiting to talk to you, an updated smart grid from Narcan. So if you look, anyone out there looks up Smart Grid. Narcan is Natural Resources Canada, but Smart Grid, Narcan, PDF, you'll come up with their latest report from 2020. I was always looking at the 2017, 2018 version. We have a mirror mention in that booklet, that report. It's from an entity, research entity, that affiliated with Narcan, but curiously enough, out of Quebec. We don't have a smart grid here in this province. I'm waiting on a call actually back from Hydro because they found in that latest report that apparently we installed 90,000 smart meters.
Yeah, 2023, I think, and for remote reading. But a lot of the critics said, they're not really advanced. They're not really smart meters per se.
No, so I mean, and I can see that because this all ties into with our electricity rates. We have the simplest rate system, I'll call it, in probably in Canada. We're still, I think, last amongst all the provinces in advancing a smart grid initiative. But if, in fact, what you're saying is true and what I read is true, we have started it. So that's a good sign. But I think the last time I heard Mr. Chubbs, and I appreciated his feedback there months ago now on not only smart meters, because he said he loved to have them, but Newfoundland Power can't afford them because it doesn't meet a business case. And the unfortunate thing is the executives at Newfoundland Power, very high paid, we all know that. You just look it up on Facebook. Unfortunately, not the best place to be looking for credible information, but the fact remains, the PUB and our government arm, independent as they are, their legislation is outdated. And I challenge anyone out there to say that cost of service regulation is not the reason why we are going to keep paying higher rates to Newfoundland Power. And when I say Newfoundland Power is in an enviable position, their rates have to increase just because under a cost of service regulation framework, as opposed to a performance-based, which, by the way, other provinces like Nova Scotia are looking at. The thing is, they only have so much. And Dennis Brown, it kind of sounds like Dennis Brown. I remember hearing him months ago, the status quo. So I'm going to try to reframe that a little bit. There's only so much money in the pot. And as Dennis pointed out, the doorknobs at Newfoundland Power are paid by us. Everything is paid by us. We provide the money to Newfoundland Power, and the PUB says, okay, this is how much, based on your planning and your budgeting, year to year, it's how much you got to work with. There's a process of submissions to the PUB that allows Newfoundland Power to allocate monies. I think there's limits of $100,000 per project. I just all this reading I've done over the past 6 months, actually. But the thing is, our rates go up if, number one, Newfoundland Hydro is the wholesaler of power. Okay? Mm-hmm. Simply put, they provide the electricity, and Newfoundland Power is the retailer who sells to us. Now, Newfoundland Hydro, for the outliers in more rural districts, I guess, and a lot of them in Labrador, could get a higher rate, but they don't. I don't think so. That might need to be qualified. But in Labrador, and this is why I sent you an email earlier in the week on Tuesday, I'm not sure if you got a chance to read it, but AI Overview, yes, our wonderful Google AI Overview, and I checked the references that Google used, but it says Labradorian connected system customers in Labrador pay significantly lower rates.
Yes, I noticed that.
3.154 cents per kilowatt hour compared to our 15.2. Now, it kind of makes sense. Simply put, they're closer to Churchill Falls. They're closer to our main source of power. Physically, my location in St. John's, I'm closer to Holyrood. That's not cheap power. Others central and towards the west are closer to Bay d'Espoir. Does any of that really make a difference? It kind of does, because there are three main sources of power. We saw that the winter when Bay d'Espoir locked up because of fragile ice. So when the penstocks are no longer flowing, we have no power. And I believe, I don't have the number in front of me, but what people have to realize, other than the bulk of our renewable energy in Labrador, most of it, not all of it, there are hundreds and 10 megawatts. I live I don't live there. I might end up there because I'm not working right now. But if I moved out to my spot on Torsco Pond, there's a generating station next door owned by Newfoundland Power. It's 6.5 megawatts. 6.5 compared to 5,800 megawatts in Churchill Falls is minuscule. Okay? Doesn't really mean anything to me. So all I'm trying to make a point there is over 90% plus all power generation, for all intents and purposes, in this province of Newfoundland Labrador comes from Newfoundland Hydro, despite the fact that Newfoundland Power has generation assets.
And proximity doesn't, of course, always breed cheaper prices. It has to get on the line, and then they have to factor it across the board. But I take your point there. I also, the argument has always been that it's just too expensive for the smart meters. And, of course, given the mandate, and they'll point to this, that, we have to supply the least cost for consumers, that implementing the smart meters wouldn't do it. And they stand by the automated meters reading. Those questions we had the last couple of winters when there were spikes after Christmas in January. And, we all heard it, the people speaking out about the bills spiking and that sort of thing. And we were assured, it's the weather. And it's hard. And I mean,
it is, Brian. And when Gary Murray, fellow Central Bay man, on there last year, we all remember, because it's been ongoing year to year. It's the same pattern every year. People get excited into the fall, colder season. By January and February, everybody's bill is maxing out. I would suggest to people, probably not going to like this, get an energy audit done. I got an energy audit in the past year. I had 8 inches of blow-in insulation to my attic. got my rebate. So in theory, my bills for the next probably 3 months are paid for. I've had the lowest in 13 years. Oh, triple head mini split. So right now,
there you go.
This past winter, I didn't use baseboard heating. It was all heat pump / mini split. Same difference. Point being, everybody has to stop looking at your bill and saying the price has gone up. Look at the right-hand margin and look at your kilowatt hour usage per day.
And the comparisons too. Yeah, and the whole comparison. You can go back into your year, and what it was you were being dinged for last year. You can see the direct comparison. Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why I point that out, Brian, is because if you're looking at the same things are going to happen. We're into the summer, in theory, hopefully everyone's electricity bills are going down. I'm waiting to see by October. October is my year-end date for my install of my mini splits. Do a year-end consumption, and hopefully it's a whole lot better than 26,000 kilowatt hours per year, which was my norm.
Right.
I know that sounds like a big number, but what it translates to is don't look at the big number. Look at your average kilowatt hour per day usage, and mine has gone down to close to 80 kilowatt hours per day just because I put in 8 inches of blow-in my attic and efficiencies, watched my energy consumption, obviously, and installed a replacement, zone heating, which was baseboard electric with a mini split, a triple head mini split, because I have a 3-layer house, 3,700 square feet. And I can work out per square footage and determine what my Energuide number should be down to now. And that's what I'm looking for in October. This is why I'm not going to be waiting for it. But when it gets there, I'm ready to calculate. And my Energuide number, I'm on track to match up or do better than what my home energy audit realized for me. I think it dropped from 100 and something down to, let's say, 80, or maybe even lower than that.
And you know yourself, Paul, that you have that luxury. Not everybody has the luxury for the initial investment.
No. But I'll tell you this, Brian.
Yep.
I didn't have luxury because I've been out of work for over a year. Right. Managed to pick up a few offshore shifts, offshore and rotations. I'm 5 years. Okay, electrical engineering at Munn, graduate class of 93. When I couldn't get in on a Hibernia or some of the local projects, I went back to school in the early 2000s and did instrumentation. So I am, plus all the further education got beyond that, 10 plus years of education. I'm not working offshore.
Oh, sure.
And that's a story. That's a story for another day. We'll leave that one.
Yeah, you have to be frugal. And again, like you said, I didn't mean to suggest that, you're rolling in it or anyone is rolling in it. But yeah, you make those critical and strategic investments in your own way, right? How much money you got to work with. And when your work is sporadic.
That's what it's about now.
Yes.
I mean, if someone said, now, Paul, you're not working and you're retired, I said, I wish I was retired and had like a $2 million pension to work off, but I don't.
Yeah.
So I had to find efficiencies. And the only reason why I could avail of those efficiencies, again, it comes back to Newfoundland Power doesn't have rebates. They do under their take charge, but the monies don't come from Newfoundland Power. They don't come out of Gary Murray's pocket. They come out of NRCANS, the federal agency,
the return,
which oversees, electricity rebates and initiatives.
Paul, only because I'm a minute past the break, and I hate to interrupt people, but I do need you to clue up because we got a long distance call from Colorado.
Oh my God, Colorado, okay.
And do you want to know? I'll tell you and everyone else. It's we have the CEO of USA Curling going to talk about Brad Gush's new job. So we're going to get to him, but I want you to wrap up, and then we're going to take a short break and get to the CEO of USA Curling, Dean Gemmell. So he's going to be in the queue, and I wanted you to know that too. But by all means, give you a wrap up there.
Yeah, so let's swing from electricity rates to MOU. I'm very optimistic about Tuesday. I think Mike Wilson did the right thing. People say he's a whistleblower. No, I say he's a very smart man. He did the right thing.
Okay.
He's retired, a very capable accountant, by the way. He's a numbers man. He saw the numbers didn't look right. He called it out. He initiated this process, as risky as it was, to resign, but now rehired. And I admire the fact that it's not Danny Williams pulling the strings of Tony Wakeham versus Hogan saying this is already dead. It's still alive. What we need now come Tuesday is this 3-person panel to give us the accurate information and move forward.
Paul, and I'm really sorry. 3 minutes past. Gotta go. Look, I appreciate the call. People waiting there, especially past the actual radio break. So I do apologize. Please call back next week, because Tuesday, as you said, going to be a big day for the big reveal of the expert panel review and the legal advice that the government was given. Let's take our second last break of the morning, and when we come back, the CEO of USA Curling, Dean Gemmell, in the queue after the break.
This is VOCM Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the home stretch. Let's go right to line number 3. And Dean Gemmell, the Chief Executive Officer of USA Curling, you're on the air.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me, Brian.
Good morning. Thanks very much, and thanks for the early rise. I believe you're in Colorado today?
I am. So, yeah, a little earlier than you guys, but nice out here today.
But I think you mentioned to me that you're a good New Jersey guy, so the Eastern time zone is is still sticking with you a bit. So I'm not completely destroying your slumber.
You're not.
Dean, interesting week for us here, as you can appreciate, back in Newfoundland and Labrador. Some people are mourning the loss of our native son, one of the greatest curler in the history, and who we like to lay claim to, Brad Guzhu, now the high performance director of USA Curling. There's a lot that I'd love to ask you, but I'm just going to start with this. Just to be clear, who called who?
I reached out to Brad initially, to be honest, right before the Brier, which was probably not the best timing because he shot me back a text and said, hey, I'm getting ready for the Brier. And then we spoke after that. And I think Brad was, frankly, not sure about the position at first, but the more we talked through it and the more we had a number of conversations between the two of us that I think were productive, and, that's how things progressed.
Can you appreciate sort of the initial reticence, given what I call it, the global turmoil and some of the friction between USA and Canada right now?
I 100% can. It's obviously I would characterize it as a strange time in the relationship between the two countries. And, I think what's maybe important to remember is that, no matter what's happening at the highest levels of government, the curling communities in the two countries are more aligned than maybe the two countries are at the moment. And, the U.S. curling community has, just great respect for Canada and its curling culture, and for Brad and what he's done in Newfoundland. I know that our American curling community tunes into the Brier and the Scotties every year and just loves it. So, I think that no matter what happens in things that are certainly far above my pay grade, I think the two curling communities share a lot of common interests, and we both want to grow the game, and I think there are a number of Canadians and Newfoundlanders who would like to see the game grow down here, and that's certainly what, one thing that I think Brad will do.
Yeah, the game seems to certainly be growing. There was a lot of eyes on it over the Olympics, whether it was for the controversy or whatever. Just briefly, how is the health of the game in the U.S.? Where would you say? I mean, it seems to be on the upswing. The interest is great. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, it's almost religion here when you look at the eyes on the Brier and TSN coverage and all that sort of thing. Not quite to that level around the world, but how is it in the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly not at the level of the Brier and the Scotties and the Canadian trials, which are, incredible media properties in Canada and have created established sports stars like Brad. But we are growing pretty nicely here. We have a long way to go before we're going to have the participation that you have in Canada or the media interest. But, the Olympics and the coverage we receive on NBC has been fantastic. We have a number of new facilities being built here. And I think one of the things that we want to do is improve our performances on the highest international stages because we think that will help spur investment in the sport down here. Lots of good things coming out of the Olympics, lots of positive momentum, lots of people trying the sport for the first time. And we're trying to translate that into more sponsor revenue, more television coverage in between the Olympic Games, which has been challenging for us. And we just think that if we can elevate our performances, and I'm confident we will under Brad, that will happen.
I know that Brad has said that there was some pushback to the decision once people realized the personal decision and how it worked for his family, and who's going to second guess that. But he did mention that he did this and chose the U.S. because there was, quote, no place for him in this role in Canadian curling, which we know Dave Murdoch, a Scottish champ himself, holds. So it's not unheard of for people of other countries to come and help other countries with their game. But are you okay with being second fiddle?
Sure. I mean, I assume we're second fiddle to Canadian curling a lot. I talk pretty regularly with Nolan Thiessen as the head of Curling Canada. And I also know Brad has a lot of respect for Dave Murdoch and the work he's done. So, I think what you see here is just a, super talented, legendary curler taking a professional opportunity. And I think what we've seen in interviews is Brad has said, he's a proud Canadian, but this is a professional opportunity. It's not unlike what we see in the world of soccer, where we have, people from other countries coaching national sides. And look, we see it in all professional sports. So I think it's just a good professional opportunity for Brad, an opportunity to really mold a program that he may not be able to even do in Canada. He mentioned that it might be odd for him after playing against all those great players in Canada to suddenly be coming in and overseeing a program. So there's a lot of things that lined up for him. I think he will admit it was not a decision he came to quickly. It was a long process for him to think it through. For some of the reasons you've alluded to.
Yeah, and I mean, look, you've got Kathy Overton Clapham, Canadian champion herself, who coaches your women's team. So it looks like you're poaching all the greatest players and all our Canadians. Who do you think you are, I guess is the question I want to ask. But in all seriousness, right? Honestly, there are people back here in Newfoundland and Labrador literally offended that he would take the job in the United States, and just for the reasons we talked about before, and given the obvious. So, the dynamic is still starting to set in here. My question is, of course, will Brad be right there behind the sheet of ice when we see the televised games coming up, and with all the other coaches wearing red, white, and blue with his guju on the back?
Well, I mean, part of the thing that Brad has mentioned in other interviews, he's not really interested. He was never really interested in coaching. And I played to some level, certainly nothing like Brad's competitive resume, but I shared that as well, that I don't think coaching appeals to everyone. So you won't see Brad on the bench. This is really more of a general manager role, guiding and overseeing coaches. So I don't think you'll see him on the bench unless there was extenuating circumstances. But he's certainly going to be supporting our teams at major events. And he'll still be a presence in Canada and media and everything else. He's not moving to the United States. We really don't see a real need for him to do that. I think at the end of the day, it was a personal decision for him. And like he said, these kinds of jobs don't come along a lot in our sport. We're not a professional sport where there's, 24 general manager openings. There's not a lot of countries looking for high performance directors, and we're also an English speaking country that's relatively close. So I think all those things factored into his decision, and I'm certainly thrilled that he decided to do it, but also understand how difficult it was to get there for him. But I think he's a confident guy. He's secure in his own self. And he wanted to make a decision that he thought was best for him personally.
Sure. And ultimately, we all support that, of course. Is this a fixed term? Like, is it 1-2 years? Is there anything in there that says he could throw on the slider every now and then and jump on, or anything like that? Any unusual caveats to the contract?
Well, no, not really. He certainly can't play for the United States in international events. So. But look, we're out here right now at what we're calling an emerging talent showcase. So it's an opportunity for him to see some of our better players who he may not be familiar with because they're not quite playing at the level he was. So yeah, he's going to be involved in that. He'll be on the ice at training camps. He's going to be developing coaching structure. A lot of work to do. Another thing about Brad that appealed to me was he has a business background, he has a management background, he has a leadership background. So all those things are intangibles that he brings to the role that are exciting for us. But again, I can understand. We fully expected there to be, people in Canada be upset about it and respect their right to be upset about it. But I think over time they'll see it's good for the game, and what's good for the game, I think down here will be good for the game in Canada.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, there's no doubt he'll attract more to your game in the United States. A name like that, a world champ, easily. I'll say one of the best in the world because he is now retired from the actual game. When he was playing, he was at the top. There's no question. And growth of the game, as you just said, overall is what's best for everybody, whether it's in the United States or globally. Dean, I really appreciate the time today. Thanks for making time for the program. Love to check in you at some time, in the future and see how it's all working out. But I appreciate your time today. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Brian.
Take care. All right, that's Dean Gemmell, the Chief Executive Officer of USA Curling, on Brad's new job south of the border. Of course, he's not moving there, but big role with USA Curling. And as we said, growth to game overall. Great for Brad, great for his family. And just great, given his resume, well-deserved and absolutely in what he wants to do. And that's his choice, and more power to him. Let's take our final break of the day, of the week. Come right back with Barry Fordham. And we'll wrap it up on a good little summary of the announcement of the food fishery today right after the break.
This is VOCM Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the home stretch for real right now. Let's welcome to the show Barry Fordham, the chairperson. I guess, are you still with the Food Fishers Committee? Is that right? Committee chairperson. Barry, is that right?
Yes, indeed, Brian. Thank you very much for having me.
What do you make of it all?
Well, Brian, it's early in the game to say very much about it. We have mixed emotions about the announcement. We were disappointed that the announcement was not made, that the minister did not consult with us and had some kind of public display of the announcement. It seemed it was just a phone call, so that was a disappointment. But there's mixed emotions on the island altogether. I guess here on the East Coast, fishers are relatively happy with the decisions, but on the South and West Coast, they're not happy because there has been no change at all. We realized that cod stocks aren't as strong on the South and West Coast, but we have been representing the whole province, but we have no control on what the minister decides. We did our best, and if it was not for the formation of food fishery fighters, nothing would ever have changed. We're going to take it as a win, but we're also going to figure out what the next steps are for the future. So it's like I say now, and we're very happy about the elimination of the boat limit because it was not a law to begin with, and it's finally good that they got rid of it. It's welcome, really, as well, that the enforcement is going to concentrate more on the illegal sale of the fish during food fishery, and not be checking so much as us, because most of us are honest people. You always get a couple of bad apples in the bunch, we say.
Yeah, it's always been a little bit, it gets you in the side, when they're pulling up alongside, just a boat of a few people just trying to jig a few. Meantime, we know what's offshore. Where does it most specifically sort of fall short in your eyes? Like, what's the most, headline for you? Someone who's embroiled with it for so long and been such a fervent lobbyist and advocate for this.
Yes, well, this is definitely been the most longest and time-consuming, energetic lobbies that I've ever been on, and it's a big relief to know that it's almost over. We were disappointed with the daily personal limit because of not because of greed, but also more so because of the food insecurity crisis. Although now with the advent of it daily for the whole summer into Labor Day, then that may take care of give people more opportunities to get out to go fishing, to get their fish for the winter.
Did you mention that? Did you get a phone call or anything or a heads up about today?
We received nothing, and that in itself left us with a bad taste in our mouth. Indeed, with the whole process of the whole time that we have been advocating and lobbying for an improvement for the change. And I will say that if it was not for the formation of the food fishery fighters, nothing would have ever changed.
Were you satisfied with what came out of all this? I mean, look, the minister clearly felt the pressure of not just as the minister and the historic discontent with the food fishery, but in her own backyard. Did you see any signs in here that that was the pressure point, and that there was a pressure on the minister to at least make some changes, but yet? The South Coast, I mean, when you look at, they're still tying the food fishery to cod quotas. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, you have to go with the science. And, you could open it all summer long on the South and West Coast, but if the fish aren't there, the fish aren't there. And, some people I've talked with on the South and West Coast simply don't go out anymore because of the waste of gasoline to go out to try to get the fish. And again, you can't please everybody, and we did our best to try and help everybody out. But of course, as I just said, you can't please everybody. As with regard to the minister, yes, she was pressured, but I think that the minister overall did a poor job in the communication with us, not only with us but food fishers themselves, and. Not want to meet with anybody, not return emails, and just the only reason I think that the minister changed this is because the minister felt that the minister had to.
Does she get any marks or credit, for at least expediting the process and not waiting till June? I mean, this was supposed to happen in June, but people always say they don't have enough notice and that sort of thing. Is there enough? Is this more notice? I mean, what does it do or help the cause that it was announced before the June expected date?
Well, the notice itself, Brian, is welcome because, as in the past, it was never announced until 2 weeks before the season, which left people who want to take holidays, come here on tours, etc., to more advanced to know what is happening each year. I was a little disappointed that when you talk about the South Coast and the West Coast being left out, and then the tour boat operators still having their quotas, that kind of leaves a bit of a bad taste in your mouth as well. And I will say, I don't have anything against the tour boat operators or tourists, but it does leave a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, and indeed a lot of people on the South and West Coast.
Well, we'll certainly be watching. I mean, this is very early moments. It was just announced, about an hour and a half ago, broken here on VOCM, of course. With the news first, Barry, look, I appreciate, everybody appreciates the work you've put in on this, as passionate as you are about it, and rightly so on behalf of all of us, It's more than just a fishery. So appreciate all the hard work, and I mean, I guess take a lap yourself, I suppose, for, getting us somewhere. I'm sure you'll, as you said, you're not going to let it go there. You still have some other things that you want, boxes you would like to check, so to speak.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Brian. I accept that. I accept that thanks on behalf of us all. It wasn't only me. It was my fellow committee members, and indeed all members of our food fisheries fighters membership, because everybody was very integral, and the support was unbelievable that we received, because a lot of lobbies I've been on in the past, people had their own agendas, and the group split up. Everybody was on the same page. Everybody wanted the same thing. And everybody worked together and became one unified and unique voice. And I'd like to thank everybody for that.
There you go. So true. The coordination, and group effort is always better than the individual. So hats off to all of you in the Food Fishers Committee. I look forward to talking to you about this in the future. Thanks again. Have a great, safe weekend.
Thank you, Brian. As always, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. All right, that's Barry Fordham there with the Fishers Committee, and we appreciate his time today right at the 12. Oh, just enough time to thank Beth Fagan there behind the glass for sitting in for Dave today. This is the long Victoria holiday weekend, May 2-4 weekend. Thanks to Beth. Just everybody, drive safely, arrive alive. VOCM cares.